Your daughter is stating that you stole from her. Your clout, no matter how far you brought her to wherever she is going out the window.
But you have to think, like, stealing what? He had money beforehand. What would you have if it wasn't for me? I'm not saying that argument holds true for the rest of your life. Of course not. Like, as you're an adult, your mother can't keep saying, oh, I fed you, I carried you 9 months. Like, you know, nobody's going to want to hear that financially. It's a business at the end of the day.
Who made that claim? Because unless it came from Beyonce, then it's invalid.
I don't know, maybe Beyonce just used it because she finally needed a way to get rid of Dad.
She's been away from him for almost 2 years now. Since then, there's also been a claim that she fired him because he had that other child. There's been all these other claims. Beyonce ain't suffering without him. He's not suffering without her.
From other artists that I've heard up and coming that have had meetings with him, that he has like the worst deals. Oh, you're gonna be signed to me for 10 years and you can only sing Kmart songs. Stupid things like that. What do you guys think are the pros and cons of having your mom, dad as managers?
Beyonce would not be Beyonce without Mathew Knowles. When it comes to successful artists, personally, I think it's a good idea, especially when you start as a child, because they're the ones who know you and will look out for you. So you look at Beyonce, you look at a Bow Wow.
Usher's career didn't start going south till he got rid of his mom.
I think that when they first start out, like, that's a good look. Your mom or your dad or whoever is close to you, they're going to be your biggest advocate. I think there's a certain point, though, where it has to kind of stop and transition because you start to get all these internal struggles. I think Mathew Knowles, from a business perspective, he was just as instrumental in getting Bey where she is as Bey was because he crafted her, he helped mold her.
You gotta put the proper people in the proper places. Your father and your mother may want the best for you and they're gonna, seek out, research, and, school themselves on how to make sure you're in that best position, but there are people who are suitable to manage. And they don't manage people with their hearts, they manage people with their brains. Mathew and Usher's mother and Michael Jackson's father, they were managing with their hearts and their brain. And this is a business.
Not Joe. He had no heart in it.
Well, his hands. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
he was
managing with his belt. He had his belt in his brain. Would I go to Mathew Knowles? I would seriously consider him. Obviously, Bey is his biggest masterpiece. The man knows a little something. I wouldn't say, oh, Mathew Knowles looks shady. I would go to him over Joe Jackson.
All right, the parents thing I get, they manage your whole life. But the homeboy that manages the boy.
Like I said before with Mathew, you have to get these people in the proper position that know what they're doing. Your homeboy came up and he saw you in the basement eating ramen noodles and he knows the struggle that you're going through. He's been there when your girlfriend broke up, when you lost your job. I get it. Emotionally, he's stable for you. Business-wise, he's not. Because he's been there nurturing you, making sure that you didn't go over the deep end. But he's not there reading these books, talking to these people, taking these meetings, taking these phone calls. He's there making sure you're okay. Instead of a manager, personal assistant. Just because they've been there with you since you were in 2nd grade, it doesn't necessarily mean that they know the ins and outs of whatever you're doing. I mean, you have an idea of what you want to do. And there's people who recognize what you want to do in a certain atmosphere.
If somebody was studying the art of management as hard as just studying music, y'all would be neck and neck.
Jay had Dame, and Dame was his boy. Jay would not be who he is without Dame.
But friendship is gone now. I value friendship more than I value business. You know Niles. That's my best friend. Yeah, shut up.
You said that I was your best friend.
No.
This is awkward.
Very awkward. I would not want him as my manager because we bump heads a lot, and I don't want him to exit my life over a business decision.
Loyalty is a big thing amongst street dudes specifically. On the downside of that, your homeboy also probably won't tell you when you need to improve. He may turn into a yes man. When you compare Jay and Dame, you're not talking about two dudes who came up together. They were already in the business. They became friends off the strength of doing business.
All a manager truly is a captain of your ship. So when you look for management, the first question, whether it's your mama, your daddy, your homeboy, or a stranger, is are they qualified to steer the ship? Then beyond that, do they truly believe in the product? And that's where it comes down to. A lot of times you end up with your homeboys, you end up with your family, because strangers don't really fuck with you unless they truly know you. But if they're qualified to steer the ship or they're qualified to learn to steer the ship, go for it. The label would absolutely rather deal with someone who's qualified rather than someone who isn't, because it makes their job easier.
You have to have someone who's not dedicated to anything else, who wants to build someone else up. Essentially, your best friends want to see you succeed.
The biggest problem is, I think, the transition stage. When the person grows into a bigger artist, or when you develop and evolve, the friend needs to understand that it's time to step back and somebody else needs to come in. And that's where I think the problem always entails, because they feel like they deserve to be there at the high. Like, I mean, whoever was there with Nicki in the beginning is probably not there now. To me, it's all about that, the transition that the homies take when it's time for them to fall back.
But I've seen artists shake their original team and go get a whole new flock of people and can't understand why this starts going bad, because these people don't give a fuck about you. The team you just shook did.
Some people leave the homies and get to the people they don't know and catapult.
It's all a crapshoot. Even with the paperwork, people sign paperwork with labels every day and they never see the light of day.